We're here to protest corporate influence in our elections, and they're spending millions and millions of dollars to deceive voters. We're here because voters are not even aware of where this money is coming from or who's behind these ads. And we believe that we should have a real democracy, and we should not have a democracy based on 30-second ads.
Hello, I'm Sheila Healy, a member of Citizen Action New York, and I want to welcome all of you to this event today. Yay! Gibson has already begun to show us whose side he will be on, corporate interest and Wall Street.
It's great to see you all out here. We are here today to release our new report that highlights the impact of corporate and right-wing front groups on elections this year in the 20th Congressional District. Ooh, this is the first election after the Supreme Court's Citizens United decision, and it's crucial that we speak out together against out-of-control special interest buying influence in swing races this election. We are one of roughly 50 events around the country today. Yay! Yay! The report that we're releasing today shows how much money corporate front groups are spending in this district in support of Chris Gibsons. 20th District voters have a right to know which shadowy front groups with anonymous corporate donors are spending all this money in support of Gibson, and why, with every misleading ad run by one of these groups, it becomes harder for ordinary voters to get the facts and make an informed choice on election day. I want to introduce some folks today. If Chris Gibson is elected congressman from the 20th District of New York, he would be part of that Republican majority, and it would be an election victory for the greedy corporate interests and CEOs.
Shut down the government. That's what Newt Gingrich, Jim DeMint, John Boehner want. What does this mean? It means no to any progress, no to any action, except for ideology. And what does that mean? Yes to big corporations and their domination of our government. Yes to Cheney and Halliburton's war in Iraq. And yes to Bush lies and gifts to Wall Street. Yes to big spending under the table, not in the accounting books. $2 billion a week, 5,000 American lives in Iraq. Can you believe it? And for what? Yes to the financial collapse caused by Bush and Greenspan and Wall Street and Republican power and control over government decision making. Yes to keeping the working and middle class the victims of tax policy for the big corporations and their wealthy principals. Yes to taxing most of us to the rich so the rich can get richer. Yes to $144 billion. Get it, $144 billion as of today in bonuses for Wall Street people in this year when the rest of us are, so many of us unemployed, so many out of jobs, and then they're concerned about deficits. It's awful. While Gibson's party of no wants to tax the rest of us and let that less than 2% off the hook. Yes to protecting handgun manufacturers against police department needs. Can you believe it? That's not about Second Amendment rights. It's about letting big corporations do what they want. Yes to laying off teachers, to cutting education funding, to eliminating the Department of Education, which is helping school systems all across the country. This is absolutely wrong. Yes to killing stimulus spending for infrastructure work and job growth. Deficit cutting must always take priority. How else to get the focus on saving taxes for the rich? Yes to killing health reform, to repealing the health reform. And all of this for the sake of saving our big corporations, our Wall Street insurance companies, and our marvelous, scandalous foreclosure banks and corporations. And this is to say nothing of Gibson's party of no saying yes to anti-women policies regarding rape and incest, to homophobia attitudes, rhetoric and policy, to ignorant, anti-intellectual program and policy proposals that want the government to keep gays and pregnant single women from teaching in our public schools. Mind you, wants the government to do that while claiming to be for smaller and less government. This is Chris Gibson's world. We can't support that for the people of New York, including its 20th Congressional District. Clifton Park in upstate New York do not deserve this kind of sellout to the big corporate world. There's too much work to be done to save and create jobs, to save and create better schools, better educational programs, and strong teachers. We want jobs. We want stimulus spending for the infrastructure renewal. We want fairness in tax policy. We want health reform. We want insurance companies who are committed to serving our people. And we want a Chamber of Commerce that supports such fairness and such programs and services and a first-rate education, not one that supports anonymous overseas funding of big corporate control of our political process. We want to spend dollars now for jobs and education. Scott Murphy is on these tasks. Chris Gibson is just the party of no. So we say no to him. Thank you.
No to Gibson.
No to Gibson. No to Gibson.
Those deceptive ads you watch on TV and falsely accuse Scott Murphy of voting to cut Medicare are in reality paid for by 60 Plus, a front group of the healthcare industry. Their ads would make you believe that they are Medicare's defenders. In actuality, nothing could be further from the truth. 60 Plus advocates replacing Medicare with a privatized voucher scheme. And of course, the monetary value of these vouchers would not increase to accommodate the cost of living. In other words, their plan is to privatize Medicare and to phase Medicare out. And their plan for Social Security isn't any different. If they had their way, Social Security would be eliminated and risky 401k plans would be substituted. Guess what? It wouldn't be older and working Americans who would benefit, but the insurance industry and Wall Street. And when they take their cut, there will be less for everyone else. What happens when your 401k is down or you lack the finances to bridge the gap? 60 Plus believes that you shouldn't be entitled to health care or any other necessity if you can't afford it. Their ultimate objective is to phase out both Social Security and Medicare. Honest people tell the truth about their aims. They will openly defend their objectives. Not so with 60 Plus. They rely on deception. And this speaks volumes about what kind of people are behind these ads. Gibson should have publicly rejected 60 Plus's false advertising. His failure to do so means that he is a willing participant in this deception. As a voter and resident of a 20th Congressional District, and as a Social Security recipient, I have a right to know which shadowy front groups with anonymous corporate donors are spending all this money to support Chris Gibson. And we all have a right to know.
Here, here.
Voters have a right to know who is spending all this money in support of Chris Gibson. Who is behind 60 Plus? Hundreds of thousands of dollars are pouring into our state from shadowy front groups set up to hide giant contributions from foreign corporations, big oil, insurance companies, and other corporate interests. The effects on our democracy are devastating. It's impossible for ordinary voters here to make informed choices or have our voices heard. And if corporate CEOs and lobbyists are shelling out big money to support Chris Gibson, he is going to own them. They're going to own him and he's going to owe them. Could he represent ordinary families in New York then? No! So I thank you today for all of you who have come out today to support and to show our outrage at organizations like 60 Plus that are hiding behind shadowy donors and lying to our citizens. It's time to end this now.